Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Bruckell LeGran, which is the new vehicle that was added in the 0.8 update. We're going to start off with the base model version of the vehicle, which has a 2.2 liter inline-4 engine that makes all of 92 horsepower. And I'm pretty sure that number is the horsepower at the engine, not at the wheels. So with that little amount of horsepower, 0 to 60 takes about 15 seconds when you throw on a slight incline like this area is doing to me right there. We still haven't reached 60 miles per hour. There we go. 60 miles per hour has been reached. Now reaching 100 miles per hour on this road, probably not going to happen. I'll give it a little bit of a shot because there is a nice downhill area coming up right here, but I don't think it'll even make it with the assistance of gravity. I'm trying to be nice and smooth with my steering, not to scrub off too much speed as I steer. Got that little bit of a downhill going, and we are just barely accelerating. This is not going to work out to get to 100 miles per hour. That is about 84 at best. We got one more downhill. We're going to go straight at this and hope it works. Nope, it's not going to reach 100. We might be able to get 90 if I went perfectly straight. We're going to try to do the corner nice and smooth. All right, you know what? 100 miles per hour out of the question. So let's just dump this thing into some trees. And what I want to do before I look at the car is actually pull it out of the trees, because so often you crash a car into the trees and you just can't even see what's going on. You're like, look behind the tree and there's a car there, and we're trying to analyze that. You know what? Just yank it out of there and then we could really take a look at it. And right here, looking at this, I think everything looks pretty good. I see no real major issues to complain about or anything like that, so I'm happy with the way that crash turned out. And for this next crash, I have a different idea. We're going to back into things because this is a front-wheel drive car. In fact, every single model of the car is front-wheel drive. So with that in mind, you could do some fun things where you destroy the rear of the car, but the front will still work. So we're going to start off by going into the town over here and then just backing into everything, because my guy, he lost his mirrors. He doesn't know what's behind him anymore, and he just hopes that there's nothing there, and he's never right. So we'll just spin it around, see if we can get it up to any sort of decent speed going in reverse. Oh my goodness. The gearing in this thing for reverse is so slow. I am pushing this thing to its limits in terms of acceleration in reverse, and we're just barely getting up to 16, 17, 18. So you know what? If I want to destroy the rear of this vehicle, I got a better idea. A much better idea. Let's just crash into it with heavy vehicles. So we're going to go T-Series, and I don't mess around. We're going to get the T75 dump bed, which actually I forgot to mention in my update video. It was on the list, but somehow I just overlooked it. So that is a terrible, terrible mistake by me. So you can see it slightly in this video, and I might do a little bit more featuring it in some future videos just so you guys get a look at it, because you didn't get to see it in that video. Don't think it'll get its own video though, because it's just a modification of the T-Series. Anyway, spinning this thing around is taking me a minute, but we are good to go now. I'm going to set that as a respawn point just in case I need to come back to here. We're going to check on this guy, make sure his parking brake is on, which it is, and kind of interesting. You notice the bumper's doing something kind of funky where it's fluttering right there. It looked kind of funny. You won't be fluttering for long, though, once my T-Series comes in. And right here is a great demonstration of the new shifting mechanic. This thing accelerates a little bit slower because it takes so long to shift through the gears. But boom, right into the rear. Don't crash into the tree! Oh, I heard a tire pop. That was not the outcome I was hoping for. Was that the rear tire or the front? Oh, thank you, it was the rear tire. I don't care. I thought the front tire got caught on a curb and it was messing it all up. No, we're good. All right, we're going to move this forward a bit because it still drives fine. And how about this? We'll crush it between the light pole and the T-Series. Just the rear, though. Not going to be easy to do, but with the right attempt, it should work out. So we'll put that right there. Maybe back it up a tiny bit more. Perfect. We'll reset the T-Series so we can get a lot of speed going at this thing. And we'll see if I can hit this correctly without destroying the front of the car so it can keep driving. Because we got that front impact down, and I was going to do rear impacts, and this is the only way I can seem to do a rear impact. So we'll slow it down just a bit. Perfect. Oh, the rear has just been annihilated. I don't know if it'll be able to do anything. Let's see. Can you drag? Not quite. It can't drag itself because the rear wheels have actually been torn off. But you got a ton of damage going on right there. That was a magnificent crash. And there's a pretty decent amount of spikes going on there. And I think half of that just comes down to the fact that that was a really hard collision. I'm wondering if I get this thing on a flat surface. Oh, yes! It drives! Barely, but it drives! How'd the radiator get damaged? I just noticed it. Radiator's damaged somehow. Don't care. It drives. Let's dump this thing into the river. No, it can't drive! Oh, this is amazing. I want to crush it again. This time I want to crush the middle of the vehicle. I think we can get away with that. Just got to line it up for collision. Okay, I guess we're gonna line it up over here because I've totally lost control. Come on, come on. Now go forward, you piece of junk. This thing really is a pile of junk. Scrapyards wouldn't take it. Too many sharp edges, they would say. Alright, move the T-Series out the way. We're gonna use that same light post because it did an amazing job. Had to make sure it was a light post and not a electrical one, but I was correct. So we're gonna back it up a little bit more than last time. Perfect, and I don't think it's gonna drive. But it'll look amazing after impact. And then after we do this, we can go ahead and take a look at the interior. And not the destroyed interior, because I'm pretty sure at this point the interior is just a disaster. Get a little bit of slow-mo again. Just a tiny bit. And oh god, there's no way that's gonna drive. I got the front too much, didn't I? Oh yeah, that front suspension is ruined. Oh, what? It's still trying to put down the power. Okay, can we get it off the light pole and somehow put those wheels on the ground? That is my new goal here. Oh, it's not coming off of that light pole, is it? I'm just pulling pieces of the body off. Nope, that's not the actual frame. Nope, that's not the frame. There's the frame. Come on. Now, can you drive is the question. Gotta get those wheels on the ground somehow. Can I bend the frame down? You know, we got one wheel. Let's go. Oh, it won't spin anymore. Oh, it was just the momentum. No, it isn't. That wheel can still spin. It's just, it can't touch the ground. Only that one can. How unfortunate. Anyways, let's reset this and take a look at the interior. So this one has a black interior because it's the base model version of the vehicle. There are other color interiors that I'll try to make sure I remember to let you guys take a look at. But for now, this is the color you'll be seeing. And there really isn't much to say about this interior. It seems pretty period accurate, but it is the interior of a pretty generic car. So there's nothing about that really stands out to me. We can go and turn on the lights so you can see what it looks like when the dash lights up. High beam's even on. I don't care. I do what I want. We can put the blinker on even. Make it light up like a Christmas tree, except, that's not really what they mean when they say light up like a Christmas tree. They mean the dash looks like, wait for it, this. Well, that's a dash to your face, and now I actually can't see anything, so we're going to pull the car out and see if we could actually see what the dash looks like after we get it out of the tree. Stinking trees. Like, no, this is my car now. Like, this is WhyBeAre's car. You don't take my car. All right, so can we see anything on there? A little bit. You can see where the engine light is on right there. And actually, that's about the only light I see. So, let's go ahead and respond it. And just so I don't forget, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a different interior color as well as the alternative gauge cluster. So right here, this is the base automatic cluster. You can get a base manual cluster, which just has a different little thing here for the gear selector. But there's also the sport cluster, which gives you a different design on the gauges completely. That looks like way more modern than the rest of the car to me. Like those rectangular gauges, they felt really nice in this interior. This one almost seems aftermarket to me. And then we could go ahead and pop into a red interior so you can see what a red one looks like. It's a lot brighter. Actually, you can see the details of the car a lot better with the red, and I probably should have started with that one, but I didn't think of that. So now you can see the red. I like the red a lot better. I'll admit that right now. And those gauges, I like those a lot better, but again, I think the other ones just fit this car a little bit more. So, let's do one last crash with the base model, just a light one into these trees, and then we're going to go and just get something else. And that actually took off a wheel. Ooh, and it really impaled it. That was an awkward crash. Anyways, on to the next version of the car, finally. The next one we're going to be taking a look at is the S, which has a 2.5 liter inline four. How much power does that make? Well, it makes 114, which is actually a pretty good improvement for a 2.2 to a 2.5 liter engine. It also has the sport intake, so I guess that helps a little bit with that. And you may or may not have noticed that the other one didn't have any chrome trim. This one has chrome trim all around it. So not only is it faster, it looks shinier. And then, of course, it has different wheels and different badging. Pretty much every vehicle has that for this car, so I'm not going to mention that from here on out. So let's just see if we can pop this thing into a tree a little bit. There we go. Nice impact to the tree. Got some damage on the rear. Can it still drive? A little bit. That's really one of the only reasons why I like front-wheel drives. You can absolutely ruin it, and it'll still put down the power a little bit. Although, I can't really steer it, so I think we got to reset it. And replace it with the next one in the list, which is the SE variant. With the SE, compared to the S, you get some ABS, you get the airbags in the steering wheel, and you get that sport cluster. And you can tell the steering wheel looks different because it is a 4-spoke steering wheel, where the other one was just a 2-spoke one. And then as for the ABS, the easiest way to test for that is you go highway speeds and then you just slam on the brakes. You see the ABS lighting up and you see no skid marks being left. That's the power of ABS. If you did it before at the other car, you would just lock up the tires and you would skid along. Can we pop this thing up on the bridge? Yes, we can. And that's where it's going to stay forever because it has no traction at this point. I mean, it has the same performance as the other one, so I really don't need to do any driving with it. So we can just go to the next one, which is the SV6. And now we're starting to actually get a little bit serious here. This one has 150 horsepower. And really, yeah, that's not that much in a 3,000-pound vehicle. But we're actually getting to the point where I feel like I could drive this car without being annoyed at how slow it is. So I got it in a nice bright orange color because I'm so excited for the speed. And really, the only difference between this and the S we were driving earlier is the engine has been upgraded. And it has a better radiator to keep it cool. To demonstrate this, I should probably rip off the hood and show you the engine. Now, there are two ways to try to do this. One, I just grab it. Two is the hard way, where you try to just bounce the rear of the vehicle in some way that would pop off the hood, which is way harder and did not work out there. So I'm just going to reset it and then pop off the hood in the easy way. There we go. And you can actually see that the engine does look different. So to show you that, I'm going to spawn up one of the ones with the inline 4 right next to this so you can see the difference. And now we need to remove that completely useless part that they put on cars called the hood. And on this one, you can tell it's an inline 4 because it has a single bank of cylinders right there. And you can count that it's 4 because you just go 1, 2, 3, 4. On this one, you can tell it's a V6 because it has 2 banks of cylinders. And there are 3 on each side. And you can tell because you go 1, 2, 3. And you can tell it's a V6 because it has a V shape to it right there. And this one, since it's an inline 4, it just has the cylinders all in a straight line. And since we're on the topic, I can show you what the fastest version of the car looks like, the Sport V6, which has a supercharged V6 engine. And it has a different sized V6 engine compared to the one I was showing you earlier. But as far as I know, that's not actually represented in the vehicle itself. Just the fact that it has a supercharger. Right here, that is the supercharger. On the other one, if you go over there and you look at it, yeah, no supercharger. This one, yes, supercharger. So that means it's more fun. And since we got this one out, we can go ahead and drive it around for a little bit. I'll tell you about this one. It's got the supercharged V6, which is a 3.8 liter engine that makes 203 horsepower. So this one's actually fast enough to have some fun with to me. It's also got the fancy sport trim. So if you look on the sides, yeah, that's so much sportier because it's not chrome now. Although to me, it just looks more like a base version of the vehicle than sporty. But the trim is a little bit thinner is the major difference. And to show you that here's a quick comparison. Look at the length of that trim, or the fatness of that trim. Now look at the fatness on this trim. It's so much fatter. You cut the fat, make it a little bit more lightweight. Maybe that's why you have the sport trim. And then it also has a sport suspension, which makes it a lot more fun to just toss it in the corners. And it has a limited slip front differential, which means it's even more fun to toss around the corner. So let's just toss it into that tree. Got a ton of damage on the rear and somehow some damage on the front. I guess it just whipped it so hard, it found a way to damage both the rear and front of the vehicle in that impact. And hello, tire. I see a tire rolling by. There he goes, right into the ditch. Nope, that tire's on her. That tire is on an excursion. Let's follow him while we can. I think it already stopped, huh? No, he's still going. The little things amuse me. I should make a video that's just entirely me following tires as they bounce around the map, and this thing is gaining momentum. Go, tire, go. Up, it's in the water. It's as good as lost now. Up, there it is. It's floating. That was fun. I need to follow the tires more often. That was just cool to do. But not on this video. This video is about the Bruckell LeGran, not the Bruckell LeGran tires bouncing all over the place. So the last one we actually took a look at was the SV6. We'll move on to the SE V6. And this one compared to the SE is basically the SE plus a V6 engine and a V6 radiator. One of the interesting things though is the size of the engine. So the one we were driving previously, the SV6, had a 3.3 liter V6 engine. This one has a 3.8 liter V6 engine. So it's half a liter bigger. You would think it would make a pretty decent amount of power compared to the other one, but that'd be totally wrong. The other one made 151 horsepower at its peak. This one makes 158 horsepower at its peak. 7 more horsepower out of 0.5 more liters. That just sounds crazy to me. Like, how do you make an engine so inefficient? I would think this engine would be the worst option in pretty much every situation because it'd probably be a little bit heavier unless they just straight up bored out the 3.3 liter engine. And the power difference would basically be unnoticeable, but the mile per gallon difference might be noticeable, I would expect. I don't know. I'm not an engine builder, so I can't tell you exactly how they compare. It just seems like there'd be no real logical reason to get the V6 in the SE over the V6 in the S. Unless, of course, you wanted the SE specials like the ABS, airbags, and the sport cluster for your extra 7 horsepower. I'm just having some fun with this thing, sliding it all over the place. That's not sliding, that's flipping it. Although I don't think that should really immobilize it. Let's see. Looks like it's going to pull a little bit to the side because there is some damage to that front left tire. But I think we can work with this a little sloppily. We got a downhill to assist us here, so I'm just going to say hello tree. And that will do it for the car. It says wheel axle front left broken, but the front right's not doing so good either. Which will bring us to the next vehicle in the list, which is the Lux V6. Or if you want to be a goof, you could call it the Lux V6. And the Lux V6 is actually identical to the SE V6, except it has the stock cluster. Because reasons. You know how I was just saying because you want the fancy cluster in the other one? What if you don't want the fancy cluster, but you also want the engine that seems to be slightly worse? Have I got the deal for you? It is the Lux V6. I would never want you to buy this car. Don't really buy it. Instead, just do that. Drive it up a bridge and actually destroy the engine on impact that didn't look like it would. That completely destroyed it. How? Just the way it hit it so awkwardly. Okay, fine. I told you not to buy it. Let's not drive it then for more than like 100 feet. Okay, it was more than 100 feet, but you know what I mean. So we'll move on to the SE V6 towing package. We're going to compare this one to the SE V6 because it's basically the SE V6 with some additions. So it has that tow hitch on the back, which you could very easily see. It has a limited slip front differential like you get in the Sport V6 version. And then it has some better brakes on both the front and rear to help you stop all that extra weight on the trailer. Has a little bit different tire setup, not wheels, tires. And then it has some heavy-duty rear springs to make it be able to cope with all that extra weight on the rear trailer. Interestingly enough, though, this one does not have any unique badging. It just says SE V6 on the rear. So what I want to do here is I want to attach a trailer to it. We got that new trailer in the game. This is the way they do it in countries that aren't America. In America, if you buy a trailer, you get a truck, and you carry that trailer with your truck. But in other European countries and such like that, you don't get a truck. You just use your normal everyday car and struggle along the freeways without the manly V8 powered truck. I don't know how they do it. So we'll hit L to attach the trailer. Get it on, and let's see, can it do it? This is the automatic transmission, I should point out. I could use the manual version, but we've been using automatic in every variant so far, so I figure why not. Also, there are different automatic transmissions. I didn't bother pointing that out, though, because you really don't feel the difference too much with the automatic transmissions. You'll notice the open versus limited slip differential while driving, but when you use an automatics with this just 3 or 4 gears, there's so little gears you don't really notice it. At least I don't personally. Surprisingly, though, this thing's hauling. Like, I did not expect it to be able to get this trailer up to such speeds. It's getting so fast the trailer's bouncing and flipping over. The car stayed upright. That is impressive. See, I'm used to towing it with a truck. Trucks have higher center of gravity. That might have flipped the truck. The trailer, though, it flipped. The car did not. That was interesting. Anyways, I want to do some crash testing. This is not an ideal map for crash testing. So we're going to go ahead and hop over to grid map. If I can hit the right button, which I sometimes can do. There we go. There's grid map. And we got to start at the default location because that's the best one. And we're just going to mostly focus on fun crash testing here. That means doing weird nonsense. And for weird nonsense, it is fast to have a fast version of the car. So we're going to go with the fastest one available. And then we're going to spawn up something I almost never use. We're going to use the flip ramp. When was the last time you see me use this? Like, never. Seriously, try to find the last time I used this in a video. I would be impressed if you could because I use this so infrequently. And what this does is you just put 2 of the tires on this car onto the ramp at a good speed and it'll flip it over and hopefully we'll get some roof damage to this thing because I haven't seen too much roof damage. My main concern is going to be if it actually will damage it or not. It might not get enough air to really do any damage, but we'll find out now. Kind of hit the side of the car more and very little damage to the roof. But I wanted to see roof damage, so we're going to make roof damage happen one way or another. The one way is not going to be with the flip ramp, though. It will be with that other new thing, the wood crate. Why did I say other? The flip ramp wasn't new. You know what I mean. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop this crate directly on the roof and hopefully actually hit the roof. I mean, that's the goal here. Get a little bit of slow-mo going. 8 times should be good. Give me a second to kind of inch forward or backwards if I could see where it's falling from. That looks pretty solid in terms of positioning. Speed it up a little bit. Slow it down a little bit. That is right on the roof from a pretty good distance, and I'm impressed with how well that held up. The crate's just teetering, and All right, I'm out of here. Did my job. Good job, Crate. Let's see. Seems like it's perfectly drivable. That is awesome. I love when you do that with a car, especially when you have the doors still standing upright somehow, and then the rest of the car is all messed up. That is the best because it just looks so ridiculous. It looks like it was kind of a convertible, but it's not because it's just the weirdest, ugliest looking thing possible. Anyways, suspension test after crushing. Not much different than a normal suspension test, it seems like. Can we do the loop-de-loop with crushing? We're only going to be going about 60 miles per hour. It's going to be a little tough, and the camera angle is going to mess with me. No, I can't. I couldn't steer there. I didn't have any traction because I was going a little too slow. And now it's really destroyed, so we'll go and reset it. Put the crate right above it again because I can. While I figure out what I want to do for the next test. For the next test, how about we use the large crusher? It's been a while since I've used that as well. And for extra fun, I'm going to shove 2 of the cars in there. So let's try to move this one over here so it's not in an awkward spot. Then we'll swap this one to be a base model. So we got the fastest one and the slowest one both being crushed together. I'm just going to set it right there, perfectly in there. Got to get a fresh one for this. There we go. And I'm going to drive this one in. Wait, I can't drive. What? Is it in, I got into manual mode somehow. When did I do that? I must have just bumped the key and didn't notice it. So anyways, driving it into the crusher for its doom. Park it right there. And for the crusher, all we do is we hit the down arrow key and up arrow key to control that. And you can control it very, very gradually. So I could be like little bit, or just go all the way. It used to be different. This is a lot easier to do. So you can kind of freeze it right there. Look at the cars before they get totally cubified. Like right there, it still looks like a car. And not for long. It actually did not freeze right there. That is a small miracle. Problem is when I'm opening it back up, it's kind of doing some funky things where it's stretching the cars back out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teleport the crusher out of the way, and then you actually get a cube. A cube of cars. And somehow, one of the engines will still work. 2 of the engines will still work somehow. What an amazing cube. I think one of the tires was actually spinning right there. Is that from the engine? Nah, it can't be. Can't be. Which car is even doing that? I don't know. The brakes don't work. There we go. What? The engine is doing that. Do you see there's a little bit of movement? That's the engine. I don't know how, but it's doing it. My cubes, they live. What other things can we mess around with here? We've cubified it. How about we do the spinner and then spin them about and bounce them around? We'll get the spinner and we'll put on the ring. I don't think it comes with the ring. Oh, by default, it does come with the ring. Just in the picture, it doesn't show you. How deceptive. We'll pop this one down and then reset it right there. Hopefully not inside of the ring. Come on, please. Okay, that'll work. This one will be a little bit better. I'll reset it first, then teleport it in. And then for the ring, you just hit left and right to spin it. Oh, no, they're getting stuck. Spin the other way. I like the way they're riding up on the wall like that, though. That was kind of cool. Oh, we got some fire going. All right, I think that should be a pretty decent amount of destruction right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cars before the game glitches out. I see some spikes going way off to the right side right there. Crushed. Where'd the other one go? Is that the other one? Where did the other one go? Is it in the... Oh, they're crushed together. I thought that was the interior of the red one at first. Well, that worked well. How about here's another one. We put both of the cars over on the side. Get the spinner up to speed and then drop them onto it. I think we gotta get these things both fresh because they're not fully respawned. That one for sure. This one is like a little bit funky. It's missing some tires. So there we go. That's set up. How's the spinner doing? That is going good. 144 miles per hour is the speed. I mean, 244 is the speed it's reading. Let's go ahead and drop it in. Get us some slow-mo here. We're gonna go 16 times and woo! One hit and it's gone. All right, what car's next? The red one, your turn. Get it right on the outside. That's where all the extra damage is at. 100 times slow-mo on this one, maybe. Just because it is so fast and violent. Oh, that's going to just destroy it, isn't it? Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, by the way, the slow-mo sounds so much better. It's one of those things I just barely mentioned in that video. But it's really a lot nicer on your ears. It doesn't blow your eardrums out like crazy like it used to sometimes. Alright, we'll speed it up a little bit so you can just watch the debris flying around. Still fun to say debris. I don't know why. One of those dumb things where I just like saying debris more than debris. It's totally wrong in every single way, but debris just sounds like such a funny word. Anyways, I think that will do it for this video. That's a fun thing to end on. So until next time, this has been WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.